Hey, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us. My name's Andrew, and I'm joined by my co-host, Rhett. Say hello, Rhett.
Hey, what's going on?
Hey, I like love your haze. So we actually just went live. We are going to be talking this week about Coyotes. I'm going to take my glasses off. About Coyotes. Rhett, this was your pick for the week. Why don't you say why you picked this one for us to do?
Honestly, there's two reasons. One, I saw the cover of this cover, unbelievable. And then it was flipping through it, and this picture right here with the eyeball, everything about this picture unbelievable. So I was thinking that this was going to be a great, nice, violent comic that was going to feature more of the art, and I think it did a good job.
Yeah, and we know you're a huge Kill Bill fan, and I know that you said in this video that I know when you said you picked the comic that you thought that the image was Kill Bill-esque, and some of the, I think the like reading material to how it was kind of reminiscent of Kill Bill, about like a teacher and a student and a bloodbath, and a kind of like a one scene bloodbath.
Yeah, I mean, you even have the samurai swords as well.
That's true.
Yeah,
that is true.
yeah.
So we read the first 4 issues, and I think there's 8 issues altogether. So we read kind of half, and I thought it was pretty good, because then we can kind of see. I feel like we always have a starting point of if one of us liked it and one of us didn't, and then we have the discussion and we try to convince each other, hey, is this something we should continue, right?
Yeah, no, that's definitely a format right there.
So where are you at right now? Are you at
with
did you
this?
enjoy it? Did you enjoy it?
Well, I did and I didn't, which doesn't really answer your question.
Totally not.
But there were 2 things that I really liked about the comic, and we're going to go kind of out of order than what we usually do. We usually do a synopsis and we talk about what the story is about. But honestly, I want to start with the art. I want to start giving a shout out to the artist. It's drawn by Caitlin Yarsky.
Yeah.
And she definitely can draw a character. All the characters are really interesting. The drawings have these vibrant colors, these giant pages, action pages that have these violent images, which, I mean, some people like violence, other people don't like violence. I'm sort of drawn to the mature graphic novel-esque plot lines and art as well. And this definitely piqued my interest and kept me wanting more as far as the art is concerned.
Yeah, I think you're right. I love the art. I mean, there was like that kind of scale we do of, art versus the writing. I think the art for this one overwhelms the writing and the story itself, because the art was awesome in the comic. It was. I know you keep saying we shouldn't say awesome all the time. We should be more specific, but yeah, the colors, the imagery, like the different settings that they had, and like the desert, and like kind of like a facility where they were holding that huge werewolf. The actual kind of transformation of the werewolf,
right? The actual transformation of the werewolf is really cool. It's actually kind of disgusting. You see all these like pussy boils and stuff like that with transformation and whatnot, which which is kind of interesting, kind of cool to see the transition.
Yeah, that was pretty cool. That was probably the coolest thing for me
And
too.
yeah, and the other cool thing, this was the first comic that I ever read where I think the lettering
Mm,
really played an extremely important role, where different different colors for the lettering, for instance, indicated who was doing the narration. Um, uh,
yeah.
just
Well, I
give
mean, the
you
Duchess, like there's a character, the Duchess, in the comic where it has kind of like this. Well, she's like supposed to be Victorian. It
right.
has kind of like this kind of Victorian-esque kind of cascade. I don't know how to describe it, but so in general, I thought the comic was kind of confusing. I actually had to read it twice, even though I go back and forth. Should I read it
No,
once or
I
twice?
definitely had to read it twice too. Yeah.
And the second time, it was so much more prominent that I was like, okay, if there's a bubble and it has like the kind of squiggly lines around it, that's the Duchess, and she's like this Victorian character who's kind of like the Kill Bill, like the main person who's kind of training these women in this comic. And I know we kind of jump around a lot. It was confusing to me. I'll be honest.
Oh no, 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 right. And
The, the
I
comic
think
was confusing, and yeah, and you need a second. You need a second read through to like go, oh yeah, this is the character, and this is who's talking, and this is why it's important. So that was kind of a downer for me because it was confusing and it wasn't so straightforward with like what is going on.
no,
So
it's a huge downer.
yeah,
I completely agree with you.
but not
I mean,
not.
it does.
No,
Sorry,
I was saying now they have that tip, maybe it won't be so confusing. So like because there's different kind of we talk about we love Saga, we love the narration of Saga, we love all that. I mean, you talk that we haven't done a video on that, but we love it, and it's just so clear. So I think I always base kind of everything on that Saga narration kind of style. And it's like when there's different size boxes and there's different colors, and it's like I need like a coloring chart to be like, okay, if it's red, it's this character. If it's and it just seemed like overwhelming with who's talking and what the narration was.
No, absolutely agree, and not to deter anybody from if you have to go back and read a comic for a second time, it doesn't mean that it's a bad comic.
No,
But in this case, I'm not saying that it's a bad comic. I'm saying that it is. There's definitely some confusion
yeah,
with it. Not only the yes, the lettering. Once I recognized the lettering, which like you, I found it the second time around. Um, it made it a little bit easier, but I was still thoroughly confused with the plot line in general. There were so many things that were crammed into this comic that it's just I didn't know what plot line to base my feelings or base my just base the story in general
yeah,
about.
totally. Uh,
I mean, uh, is it about coyotes? Is it about werewolves? I mean, which is yes and
so
yes or whatnot.
yeah, I mean, this is a good point. First, I just want to we're spicing up the channel. I'm wearing a non-t-shirt. I'm wearing a collared shirt. Rhett has set up some comics in the background. We're trying to be more better complete channel. Um, and make jokes and have a good time. So, Rhett, you're the one who pointed out to me at the end of the trade paperback, it has kind of like a written message, an essay by the writer, and I
Yes.
figured it out. So basically, he writes in this that says, "My writing process is to start with everything, all of it on paper, all guts, all messy, and then I try best as possible to get rid of none of it. Instead, I try and figure out how it all could work together." And that basically summed up what I thought about this comic. It's
Right. Well,
it's like he had this idea, right? And he had this idea. It's there's mythical stuff. It's based on some kind of reality, and being a social worker myself, and like knowing people who do work um, with immigration issues, and people getting like smuggled over the border, and then like being um, with ransom, and how these people are awful people that take advantage of families. Like the Coyotes is kind of like this general idea of smuggling people across the border. So this comic takes place on the border. There's kind of like a smuggling aspect, which is reality, but they don't really talk about it in the comic. The comic is just basically there's a city of women who are getting attacked by coyotes. And literally, I think I had to read it 2 times because I wasn't sure in the beginning of the comic, I wasn't sure if it was being literal, or if it was they were really just men. And then the comic kind of goes into, oh no, they're like werewolves. So
right, and that's what you just said. Actually, is extremely important too. The reason that they call it, actually, we are talking about werewolves here. The reason that they're not called werewolves is because the girls do not want to legitimize these men. They're calling them coyotes because they are weaker than werewolves. So it is like a little symbolic reasoning, and delegitimizing, downplaying the role of werewolves, which is kind of a cool symbolism, kind of a interesting symbolism, I guess.
Yeah, and we're going to take this moment to thank Natalie, D Comic Queen. She's the first person ever to be inside the chat. I just noticed, and she said, "Hey," which is a great thing. So, hey, Natalie, thanks for joining us. I don't think she said she did not read this comic, but she wanted to come by. So thank you so much.
Right, and Natalie, it's about a female lead. I don't know if you're.
Yeah, she's not really into that.
No, exactly.
She's not into that. But yeah, I mean, the comic was confusing. I wanted to like it. I mean, I think we need to differentiate between plot line of, I think the plot will set itself up for the following 4 issues. I feel kind of like weird because there was like the 8 and we read 4 of them. So some things I feel like are okay with just the plot of, you're going to probably figure out what happens in 5, 6, 7, 8 of the plot. But going back to the original like essay by the writer, and the confusion and the progression of the story from the first 4 issues, it's like a part of me, I'm not sure I want to continue to read the comic because of just where it's all over the place, and just the general confusion, and did I like it? So
right. I mean, there's a page where the writer is talking about like the origin of werewolves, the different ways that people become werewolves and whatnot. Like looking up at a full moon, wearing the skinned pelts of wolves, of drinking water that has human and wolf blood in it and whatnot.
I think I saw that at Mariano's.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that was at Mariano's. You have to ask them. It's like a secret off the menu kind of item.
It's right next to the homemade
coconut water
guacamole.
Yeah, right behind the coconut water. Is the werewolf blood drink.
There we go.
And it's like, where do you put the pelt? There's like the thing where it's like, they have a pelt to become a werewolf, and then they just kind of like, you put it in your backpack, like it's totally secure.
Right, exactly. There's another page where the 2 men put the pelt around their waist. They're like wearing like a hula skirt.
Yeah, it's like a sweater, like it's kind of chilly. So
right. Wrap it around their neck like a tennis sweater.
Yeah. And Natalie's made the second comment. She's like breaking Guinness World Record. She said woo, which can be interpreted in a lot of ways. So thank you, woo back.
So we have a hey and a woo.
We have a hey and a woo. It's like a little Harry Carey. going on. It's a little Chicago-esque. Art Institute lasts. I'm just waiting for you to work in You Hate Carl. I'm just waiting. I'm
Oh,
waiting for that in. I'm just waiting, but I don't want to ruin it for
it's
you.
coming later.
It's coming later.
It's coming later.
But
You won't know when it's coming.
you don't know.
Yeah.
But I think
See, I'm sorry. Stop.
go ahead.
The one, and I don't know if you got this either. I mean, my first interpretation was all men are werewolves, and all of the good people, except for the cop, Coffee. His name is Coffee. He's the only man in this story that is good, and I thought it was about sexual predators.
Me too. Yeah, I thought it in the beginning you don't know what it is. You're like, is it sexual predators? Is it literally like trafficking humans? Is it? And then you find out it's werewolves. And then there's like a missing person thing. So yeah, I mean, you're not wrong if you think in the beginning like, oh, this is what it's going to be about, and then it kind of settles on werewolves.
But I mean, we've already listed four different possibilities, and your mind, mine, probably is going these four different directions. It's just like, what the hell do I concentrate on?
Yeah, and again, it's kind of like what I said before. Is I think they probably settle some of these issues in the later issues. It's just like when you have such a short kind of series, like, do you need all this? Like oh, you brought up the Coffee, like the policeman. It's like his kind of storyline is he's kind of a straight arrow guy,
Yeah.
but he's not really used to this kind of activity.
He gets transferred from another part of the
Yeah.
country and whatnot, and he just falls upon this town. He's transferred to this town, and then
City of Lost Girls.
Yeah, exactly. And he sort of becomes like a father figure because he has a daughter who's around the same age as the main character.
Yeah. So and then there's kind of like that, just kind of that generic. I've spent my life on the force, and what did it give me? And I lost my family, and so he's got like kind of this backstory that I feel is kind of.
I mean, it's not generic, but it's definitely more interesting than some of the other characters and other plot lines in it. Yeah. But it just doesn't really go anywhere. It doesn't really do anything for me as well.
Yeah, I mean, and the Duchess, I don't like her character. I don't really get. Like, I didn't even understand how she kind of got into the fold of because I mean, in the story, she kind of meets the main character, but the main character is a girl and she's young, and then there's something going on with the main character's sister who. What also is confusing to me is like, did they actually kill people, or do the werewolves kill people, or do they just take them? Because in one sense, I feel like they show them getting murdered by the werewolves.
Yeah.
And in the other sense, there's kind of a part in the comic where you find out like the cops are kind of bad, and they're with kind of like this evil corporation that's mentioned in the book.
Yeah.
And there's like a room with all the photos of the girls in it. So that's confusing to me. Are they actually smuggling them, or are they murdering them because they're werewolves? Or they're just bad people? Because they kind of in the comic they talk about how the people that this like evil corporation that gets away with everything and they can do whatever they want in the town, is using like these criminals as guinea pigs. And like this evil head of the corporation, his motive. I feel like a lot of the comics we've been talking about, I'm really super critical of motive and backstory, because I want, like, what is it? Like, why is he doing this? He's just evil, or he wants to do it because, like, a part of it was there's something bigger going on. Maybe you can touch on it. It's like, did the coyote pelts bring out something in that person that was kind of there. Like I think they mentioned something about like vengeance, how like it might be bringing out the vengeance of the person if they get like a pelt, or if they're really bad people, then they'll do bad things, or like and then there's also a kind of sense that he's making. I'm talking a lot. I'm sorry.
Oh, no. This is good.
He's making some like super army. So it's like, what is going on? What is this army for?
I honestly, I don't think that we have to continue. I mean, keeping just going with what you said. I mean, it was confusing, and I don't think we can talk ourselves out of the confusion.
Yeah, but but you're right. I agree with you. But I do want to say some positives. Well, like you said, I love the artwork. The writing itself didn't bother me. I just thought like the actual I don't want to say the actual story, but like I don't think I was really. I felt like they were trying to do too much in a small sample size, and I feel like
sorry.
No, I was gonna say, like, I think at this point it's like, do I even care? Do I care to continue to read the next couple issues? And that was the whole point of this YouTube series, is reading the first few issues and going like, do I care? Am I involved? Like, can I go to sleep tonight and go, I don't know what's gonna happen to these characters, but I know the issues are out there, but I'm not just gonna read them because I don't care. And it didn't really take me. I thought the writing itself was fine. I thought it was fine. I just when they write that summary saying we just kind of had an idea and we want to cram all of it in, like that makes sense to me. And
well, I mean, it's a format. It's a format.
It's like
it's a definite thought process and a definite format. I just think that it missed. It missed with me.
What story, like if you would just condense the story, like what story would you in your mind, what do you think you were going to read, or that you would have enjoyed more?
Well, I definitely wouldn't enjoy it more, because what I initially thought was this was about sexual predators. That it was men are the main bad guys because I mean,
some incident, and then she kind of gets trained to murder them.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
And that to me is, that's a plot line, and that would be. I mean,
but that plot line, I feel like, there's like that Jennifer Gardner movie. Like that plot line has been like a normal person. Everyone's kind of who's normal, but like just an everyday person who a tragedy happens to, and then they all of a sudden become like a killing machine in these movies and fantasy.
Oh, that's every Quentin Tarantino movie.
Right. So
are we going to go shave off ears, or
Yeah. I mean,
I don't know.
And I felt like it's kind of funny. I thought about you when I was reading the comic, because like there's only like one page of her being trained, and it's just like she's automatically amazing at this stuff. So there also is this kind of reborn ideology where she's like the chosen one.
Right.
So, but they don't really.
No, they don't. They
don't really go into that.
Right. I mean, it's super quick with that, and I mean, I guess one other interesting thing, a little tidbit, is that the main character, her nickname is Red, which instantly to me, when you're talking about werewolf, that 70s show, yes,
I think that guy was named Red, right?
Right. Red Foreman. Yeah, exactly. You're an ass. But no, I think of Red Riding Hood with werewolves, with wolf, and she's the slayer of wolves or whatnot. Which I would have liked that more of that connection as well, but I don't know if anybody else got the same connection with that. I love fairy tales.
Yeah, I did not think of that. I think that's a great great point. Like, I feel like the comic does have a lot of fantasy elements in it. So kind of veering towards that Red Riding Hood, kind of like a mature theme of payback with a werewolf. I think that would be interesting. I would read that. I mean the book also. I mean the comic book has a huge werewolf of kind of like this mythical proportion who's kind of been there since before the big
beginning of time.
Yeah, beginning of time. And then there's kind of like that character, is it Gaia, who's like the earth kind of mythical figure who gives life, and then there's like the future seers, those women. They remind me of like the old like Greek, I can't remember their names, like the oracles or something. It's kind of like similar to that. So I'm
Right.
such a hater because I always try to think like, what's this similar to, and do I like that original?
Right, and what's the symbolism? And that's exactly what I was thinking this was going to be too. That this was going to be a almost like a. If anybody has read American Vampire, it's like the beginning of vampires, but with like a cool twist to it. I mean, is this a beginning story of werewolves? But that wasn't there as well.
Yeah.
I mean, again, so many different ways, different directions that they're going with it.
Yeah. So I think we need to get Jeff for people who might have stumbled across this video for Coyotes to see if they like it. I stumbled across our
channel. Are drunk right now.
They're drunk. You have to change the channel. No, I think it's I think other people should give it a try for the artwork.
Yeah, I mean,
you just got to pay attention to the lettering and who's talking, and in the beginning, so you don't get lost. So I think people should try it. It just wasn't for me, and I don't think I would want to continue to read it. But I think the artwork was awesome. I thought the writing was okay, and I think he's a good writer. I just wasn't really into it. And also, it's like, even though we think a comic might be one thing, even if it turns out to be something else, I'm totally fine with that. Like, I'd be like, yeah, I'm on board. But
and please, actually, we really suggest those to prove us wrong. Tell us that we're idiots.
Yeah, like, yeah.
I mean, just read the book. Tell us that we're idiots, and give us good points. Just don't tell us that we're idiots. And I mean, right? Exactly. Give us some constructive criticism here.
But yeah, all criticism isn't good.
But what I was gonna say is that, I mean, Caitlin Yarsky is now on my radar. I want to see more comics drawn by her.
Yeah, I think the guy too. I think he's like an award-winning writer. I want to check out some of his other stuff to see if I'd be into something else that he's written, and not just specifically this. So yeah, I mean, if I don't like a comic, it's not like, I'm let me put this guy on some list, and I'm never going to look at something he's done. It's more of just, I just didn't like that. Let me check something else out and see what's up. But so I think both of we're always the same.
Well, right. I mean, so far it has been. No,
Trees.
Yeah.
Wait,
no,
which
not
one
Trees. It was
Outcast.
It was Outcast. Yeah.
Yeah.
You didn't like Outcast. I liked Outcast. I hate Carl.
You got it in.
But I mean, before there was one thing that I thought was freaking hysterical, which had something to do with the writing as well. Mm-hmm. That I'm just going to paint a picture here. It's like in the beginning, where Red, she is throwing gasoline around her house, and it sparks the house on fire because her mom is being eaten by these werewolves, and she doesn't want her to suffer any pain. She gets out of the house and she meets her friend from school, which she has a nickname, or gets a nickname, called Eye Patch, because you see her getting Uh,
her
her eye like ripped
like
out.
Carl.
Right, exactly.
That would have been the I hate Carl.
Oh,
Uh,
damn it! I messed
we
up.
keep going, but Eye Patch is an awesome nickname. It's
Oh,
awesome.
you're right. No, and I actually really like the character too. But you see Red say, "Oh, that's that's Valeria. She's a girl from school. I don't pay attention to her in school, and I'm just gonna ignore her while the house is burning down and she's in this flames, and she's just gonna leave her to die."
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden she saves her, and then they instantly become best friends. I'm never going to leave your side again. It's like, what the hell is that?
Yeah, where did that come from?
You
Like, where did
can't
it
just go from I'm just going to let you die to hey pal, you're my best friend.
Yeah, I think we just add that on to the like, why are we accepting that? And I mean, some
Right.
things you can just like accept and go, okay, they're best friends. Let's keep the comic going. But I don't know why. I don't know why why.
All right. We'll prove that I'll set your house on fire,
We'll
and
see
we'll see if that
if an
works.
acquaintance comes by and goes, "Hey, I can help you," and I'll be like, "No, I'm good. I'm good. I'm just good."
As if Natalie's still on,
I have no clue.
she calls the cops on me now. It's just like, oh, hey, he's gonna set your house on fire.
So I was like, no one's setting anyone's house on fire.
No, exactly.
God forbid.
We're good.
So let's do. I like this discussion of Coyotes. I think it's a no for both of us, but definitely, I think people should give it a chance.
Give it a chance.
Give it a chance, and I think we're both looking forward to looking at some other things that these comic book artists and writers have done or are doing. I think I just saw some highlight where the guy is working on something new that might be interesting. But yeah, so let's do Rhett. This was your pick. Next week we're going to be doing Paper Girls. So if anyone wants to read that, we're going to do the first trade paperback.
Is that next week?
That's for next week, next Thursday. Then after that, we are going on a 1 week break because I'll be
right. Yeah.
we'll be doing it. But and also if anyone's celebrating the holidays, happy holidays. And if you're watching this in the future, happy holidays. It's gone. Whatever holiday you're watching this around.
Right, exactly.
Whatever holiday is around this video, the time that you're watching it, happy holidays. But yeah, well, thank you so much for joining us. And please check out our other videos. We've done reviews. We are going to be picking a comic every week, reading the first trade paperback, discussing it live for the first time, and then trying to convince one another why they should or should not continue it. So, Rhett, any final words of the comic or your excitement for Paper Girls? Because we know it's written by the Saga guy.
Right. I mean, Brian K. Vaughan, I'm super excited about this, actually. Yes. No, it has nothing to do with that. I just want to say that I was picked for federal jury duty today. So
congrats.
That's yeah. I get to get my $50 and
Yeah, but joke's on them. You get to sit in silence for like 8 hours if you don't get picked anyway. Or
there we go. It's a week long. Did you know
that? No.
Yeah.
No idea.
It's a week long.
So you'll have a lot of time.
I'm on call. I'm on call for an entire week.
Whoa. Mueller report?
Maybe.
Something involved? No. Okay. Thank you so much for joining us. And you can follow, I usually post stuff during the week. I am at You Remind Me Of 2 on Instagram. I usually post stuff like, hey, I'm reading this during the week. So you can follow me on there. Rhett also has Instagram that the link is in the banner. And
you won't see very much. I'm like brand new to
Instagram.
Instagram, yeah. So
I'm a seasoned veteran. I'm like 3 months in, so don't worry.
Lottie freaking da.
Yeah. So thank you so much for joining us, and we look forward to you guys joining us in the future. And thank you guys so much.
Yeah. Thank you.